Hello, I'm Kerry. This is What This Week, where I talk about what I've been reading, what I've been listening to, what I've been watching, and any other nonsense that comes to mind. So starting with the reading, a couple of highlights from the last couple of weeks. I have finished Universality by Natasha Brown. I went to see Natasha speak at a book event recently and it was one of my favourite book events ever. I think she was just so lovely and so interesting and talked with such warmth and heart, and her joy for writing is just so reassuring. Being a novelist isn't her primary job, and she wrote Assembly a little while ago. This is her second novel. And she was really reluctant to kind of like call herself or refer to herself as a novelist or an author, because she likes to keep that side of her writing as a kind of an aside, so that she doesn't get drawn into like it being her job, and that she can maintain a sense of fun and a sense of integrity. And it was really interesting because a lot of what she was talking about kind of like speaks to the content of this book. This book begins with a piece of journalism, and then we get a few sections from various characters that feature in the events that are depicted in this, which is to say an illegal rave at a hippie commune in Yorkshire, during which somebody gets hit over the head with a gold bar. So we get to see much of the aftermath of that, but it's very much about the characters themselves. When Natasha was talking about this book, she was talking about how she wanted to interrogate that link between journalistic writing and novels. So there was a period of time when journalists started to employ some of the tricks of the trade of novels to keep people engaged, and that style of writing was kind of interwoven with journalism. And so she said she wanted to write a book that flipped that back on its head, and she wanted to write a novel using that style of journalism as her narrative device. Much like Assembly, there are some really heavy-hitting themes in here, like class and power and voice and truth. But Natasha seems to be able to deliver these things in a really intelligent and thought-provoking way, but still maintaining a bit of humour and a bit of lightness. I think she does that really brilliantly. And for the most part, her characters achieve this for her. So there's one journalist in here called Lenny, and she has become infamous for being really controversial and saying the politically incorrect stuff. She's written a book called No More Woke. So her character was really good fun to read, but also very seriously shone a light on the media machine and what feeds it, and essentially she was just playing to the crowds. You don't really get an insight into what she believes, and that's the point. So yeah, this little book did so many brilliant things, and I loved meeting Natasha, which means that I love this book all the more. Interestingly, she said at the book event that there are two characters in here that were also in Assembly. It's not a series, they're not related stories, but she said she borrowed two characters from Assembly in this. So I don't remember Assembly well enough to figure out who they are, but I think that's really fun. You know, there's a Natasha Brown universe in the making. So that was great. Currently, I am reading Claudia Pinero's Time of the Flies, and this is translated by Frances Riddle. This is the follow-up book to All Yours, which I read last year and really loved. So we are back with Ines. Ines was a character who in the first book, spoiler, killed her husband's lover. And in this book she is out of prison and trying to make a life for herself as a fumigator. I'm not too far in yet, but somebody has just made a proposition to her which may be too good to refuse, and I'm really enjoying it, much like I did with All Yours. Ines is just such a great character to spend time with. She's that kind of like devil on your shoulder. You know that you shouldn't like her and shouldn't empathise with her, but you just really do. So yeah, this is really lovely. The lovely Joy from Joy of Books kindly lent me this, and so I am eternally grateful to her for letting me continue my time with the wonderful Ines. I also listened to Ootlin by Jenni Fagan, which has been a real kind of like reading highlight so far this year. This was on the Women's Prize for Non-Fiction longlist, so it's Jenni Fagan's memoir. I read Hex by Jenni Fagan and really loved that, so knew that I was going to get on with her style of writing, and I wasn't wrong. The content of this book is wildly challenging. The things that Jenni Fagan had to endure growing up in care in Scotland was just unimaginable, totally unimaginable. And just when you think, okay, surely that's enough, something else happens, and then something else happens, and then something else happens. And I found it incredibly challenging to read or listen to. I listen to people talk about these kinds of experiences, or some of these experiences, for my job, and I still found it incredibly challenging. So yes, it's not one to go into without a bit of self-awareness and lots of self-care. But yes, an incredible story, brilliantly written, so would recommend it if you're in the right headspace to go there. We have been watching a huge amount of television recently. I don't know why, but we seem to be kind of rattling through various series quite a lot. So I was going to share just some of the highlights, or like points of interest, I guess. One of the things that we've discovered and started watching recently, and the series hasn't finished yet, is Mobland. It's on Paramount and Amazon Prime, I think. It's about an Irish kind of mob family, and it's really brilliant. It's done in a way that's kind of refreshing, I guess, maybe. It's not your kind of like typical mob story. So you've got Pierce Brosnan, who, like, that's the only downside, his Irish accent is pretty dreadful. And he is the kind of like head of this mob family, but he's married to Helen Mirren, and her character is wild. She is very much the head of the family behind the scenes. She is the puppeteer playing the puppet that is Pierce Brosnan's character. She is a cocaine snorting, sweary, kind of gun-toting granny, and is just the most joyous character to watch. I don't know what that says about me, but I found her really good fun. So that's been great. We've really been enjoying that so far. That's continuing. The other thing that we've started and are enjoying is The Stolen Girl on Disney. Or Disney Plus rather. That's about a young girl who is kidnapped, taken. It's really twisty, there's loads of intrigue, brilliant acting. You just know that everybody's got a lot more to hide, and we're really looking forward to kind of uncovering where it goes next. And the other thing that we have actually finished recently is 1923, also starring Helen Mirren. That's really hard to say. And it's been wonderful. So it's part of the Yellowstone franchise, which we really enjoy. It's obviously set in 1923. It's been great. It's the 2 series in this kind of like time frame. And this was the 2nd series, so it's come to its conclusion now. And we really enjoyed it all the way through. But the last couple of episodes were just ridiculous. If you've seen it, please pop over to Instagram and send me a message, because I need to debrief. It got to at the last but one episode, and my partner says, I think this is going to happen. I was like, don't be so ridiculous, that would be so stupid. And that's what happened. It was so stupid, so stupid. I was really cross in the end. But otherwise, we'd really enjoyed that series. We like the Yellowstone franchise. In terms of filming, not a whole lot. The last video I posted was my dog reading vlog, and I think I might start another reading vlog maybe this week. I've got loads of really fun stuff coming up. My sister's having a wedding. It's not her main wedding, she's having 2, as you do. I'm going to see Grady Hendrix, a book event. I'm going to see Chris McCausland. So there's stuff going on that would be interesting to film. It's also like the Booktubers meetup coming up in May. So yeah, there's loads of really fun stuff to film coming up. So I might start a reading vlog. It's likely to be reading Booktubers' favourites from last year, potentially. Haven't quite decided yet. Who knows? To be confirmed. The other thing that I filmed recently is something for Scott at Gunpowder Fiction and Plot. So keep your eyes peeled on his channel for a wee cameo from me. In terms of what I've been enjoying on Booktube, I have discovered Dr. Cranky Pants Reads, and if you haven't found his channel yet, Nick is hilarious and he's doing things in a really original, unique way. His tag videos are hilarious and so creative. So I think it was Jack at Spread Book Joy that mentioned him in a video, and that's how I found him. If you haven't made your way to his corner of the internet yet, please do, because he is very funny and all his hard work that he puts into his videos should be massively celebrated. I've been joining in with Charlie from Charlie Brooke Reads Readathon, which is reading books for bowel cancer. So I read Welsh fairy tales, myths and legends for reading a book with red on the cover, and that was to match the symptom of noticing blood in your poo. And I read Universality by Natasha Brown, which was for the prompt that's to read a book less than 300 pages, and that's to match the symptom that if you notice you're losing weight unexpectedly. So I'm working my way through those prompts, and I'm also matching them to Katie at Books and Things Readathon this month, which is the TBR clear out. So the first couple of prompts for that is to read a book that's been on your TBR for a very long time, this one, and to read a book that's been on your TBR for a very short time, this one. So I'm trying to kind of like find prompts that find books that match a couple of the prompts at the same time, so that I can make the most and do both of those readathons at the same time. And I will likely take part in Misery May next month. I am undecided as to whether I will do this year the prompts are to read a book from each continent. I may do that, or I may just focus on the books on my shelves if I can't match them up to different locations, and just read some miserable books. But do check out Scott at Gunpowder Fiction and Plot's announcement video to that, as well as Jem from Jem for Books. They co-host that readathon and it's good fun. No, it's miserable, but in the best way. Apologies, I've had to switch to my phone because my battery's just died, and my spare battery apparently has no charge either. So what was I saying? Oh, the other thing I've done this week is I have signed up to World of Books Plus. Does anybody else do this? Tell me, because like many of us, I'm trying to reduce my use of Amazon. I'm not somebody who's felt able to completely boycott it yet, but definitely want to take conscious steps to reduce my use of Amazon, and have done that in other ways, but less so in the book buying front. I do shop from independent bookshops as well, but when I want something quickly or when I want something cheaply, do default to Amazon. So want to take some steps to maybe address that and work on that. And whilst I was looking for something on World of Books this week, I noticed that they have a plus scheme. So you pay $14.99 for the year, and that gives you 10% off all of your purchases. It also gives you a free book when you buy, when you subscribe, whatever you want to call it. And then it says there are other offers that come up throughout the year. So if you've done this, let me know what the rest of the package is like. Is it just the 10%? Which would be fine, you know, I don't begrudge that, because I think 15 quid you could spend on a couple of coffees, right? So yeah, I'm just giving that a go and seeing if I can start to teach my brain to default to that instead of Amazon. World of Books sell new and used books, which appeals to me. Yeah, that's something that I'm giving a go. I'll keep you posted about how that goes, if I find that I'm finding what I want on there and using it a lot or no. Yes, so that's bookish news. The only other thing that I had to debrief with you about, which is quite important, is so it's Easter this weekend, and this time of year is a great opportunity to explore the offerings of hot cross buns from various different supermarkets, and all of the supermarkets have gone really hard on their varieties of hot cross buns this year. Is it just me? There's so many to try. So yeah, I just wanted to kind of like talk about my trauma around that, really. So I'm a big M&S fan. M&S food is unbeaten in all fronts except for their hot cross buns this year. So one of the hot cross buns that they've brought in this year that I was really excited to try was a dippy egg hot cross bun. So it was a cocoa bun with like the fondant of a Cadbury's cream egg, essentially. Obviously not Cadbury's because it's M&S's own, but essentially the fondant of the inside of a cream egg in the hot cross bun. Sounds wonderful, right? Sounds delicious. It was gross. It was so gross. The bun itself was dry and tasteless. It's got no fruit in it, so it was just ugh. And then the fondant in the middle was just like sweet snot. It was just the most awful consistency. Yeah, it was really not for me. They were gross. So won't be having those again. They did do cheese hot cross buns at M&S, which I enjoyed somewhat. But the best this year has been Tesco. I've got to say it. I've got to hand it to you, Tesco. Their caramel and chocolate ones with like little just slithers of caramel and little chunks of chocolate chip. Absolutely perfect. That's all I want from my hot cross bun. They also had rhubarb and custard ones, which were fine, but they just tasted extra fruity and were pink. They didn't taste much like rhubarb and custard, but they were okay. They weren't the disaster of the dippy egg from M&S. If you have tried any of these, or if you have any recommendations of amazing hot cross buns that you have discovered this year, please let me know. On that note, I'm going to love you and leave you. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you are looking after yourself, and I will see you again in the next video.